Hi everyone, today we're going to be doing a review talking about Dungeon Lord, specifically book 5. For those of you who've been paying attention to my channel for a little while, you know that I've been trying to branch out to do other content. I still like doing fantasy, isekai, stuff like that, and I found stuff called litrpgs, and I got introduced to Dungeon Lord. This is a couple years ago, my cousin introduced me to it, and I've been waiting for years for the 5th book. And the 5th book came out a couple weeks ago. It's called Dungeon Lord, book 5, Nightmare Kingdom. I'm going to do a little bit of a kind of different review this time. Usually when I do reviews, I summarize the story and kind of spoil a lot of the stuff. But since the book is so new, I don't want to do that. Instead, I'm going to give you guys highlights of stuff that I really enjoyed through the book. And I'm going to avoid spoilers as much as possible. But if you're new to Dungeon Lord and you don't want to go in at all spoiled, just know that this is a very, very good book. I love Dungeon Lord. In terms of isekai, it's probably my favorite type of isekai story, and quite frankly, I do wish that a lot of other isekai stories did stuff that Dungeon Lord does, because it is, while no means revolutionary in the isekai genre, or in the lit RPG genre, it does things in a way where it doesn't feel gross to read, as in, you know, from Japanese isekai, sometimes they'll do stuff that's really, and there's a certain exceptions to that, obviously, but in Dungeon Lord, it has a lot of the fun qualities that make isekai good, while none of the bad things that make it annoying and hard to read, essentially. And while it does have power fantasy aspects, like the main character is, from my opinion, a little too good at everything. That's not true. He's not necessarily too good at everything. Is that he has very little flaws that the story takes advantage of. Like if he does have a flaw, it's usually overcome pretty quickly, or it's not or the story just never actually makes him fail, which is one of the annoying things. I want to let you guys know that going in. So if you guys do start reading the Dungeon Lord, you kind of have an idea of what kind of story this actually is. Book 5, Nightmare Kingdom, takes everything that works about Dungeon Lord and takes it another step further and makes it amazing. I think this might be the best book out of all 5 of his books. By the way, the writer of this book is called Hugo Weska, and he has for a long time now been off the grid because he did not deal with I believe it was something that had to do with COVID. And he was sick for a while, that's why he couldn't continue the book franchise. Hey everyone, this is me in the future editing this video. I actually looked more into it, and not only did he have to deal with COVID stuff, he got hit by a motorcycle that year, and a bunch of other crap that happened to him. He went through a lot that year. If you want to look more into it yourself, go check it out on his website, but it is depressing. He is continuing it now, and he promises he's going to have a few more books coming out in the next couple of years, so we're not going to have to wait so long to get more books. But a bunch of the stuff that was set up previously in other books gets paid off in this book. But Ed does get trapped in the human world in the end of the 4th book. And in this book, you don't immediately jump back to the fantasy world aspect of the story. He does have his powers and some of his abilities. The thing that makes having magic in the human world funny, and this is a full spoiler warning right now, is that he doesn't have to limit himself by the rules of the other world when using his powers in the human world, which is a problem, and I believe that's setting up for something that's going to happen later on in the next couple books. So imagine somebody going from an isekai world into our world without any of the limitations that the power system might have on the powers. One of the things about this book that does not do very good, I will admit right now, is to convey how much time is passing. I believe at the beginning of this book, it says it's been 3 or 4 months since the previous book ended, and you meet up back with the characters in the human world and in Obelisk Online as well. And a couple chapters later, it's heavily implied that Ed has spent over roughly about a year in the human world. So it comes out of nowhere, and I was very shocked to figure out that he's been there for a year, because it doesn't feel that way at all. And I will say that's a problem that happens throughout this book, because in the other books, they don't have that problem. In this book, I have no idea how much time is passing in between certain actions, because they don't really give you a good, conveyance of that time. And one of the other things that's, really good, but also could be a problem for some people, is how long the book actually is. The book is about 30 hours, which for some people, that's very long. For me, that's more bang for my buck. I love long books. I am someone who listens to Stormlight Archive on Audible, and those books are anywhere from 35, maybe 40 to 50 hours long, and I love that shit. I'm all about that shit. I'm paying $20. For me personally, longer the books are when I pay for them, it's more bang for my buck. However, the length has to actually have a point. In Dungeon Lord, the length of the book takes full advantage of the length of the book, for the record. A lot of the characters get different POVs, everyone gets a lot of screen time, everyone outside of the main character gets so much screen time. Ed in this book gets the least amount of screen time compared to the other books, because like it gives so many other characters just more screen time and more time to shine. Everyone has a good moment in this book, and it's amazing. All the characters in this book are so good. I love it. So I like this book is I hesitate to use the word carried because it's not carried. It's the best part of the book is the characters. The tone of this book, because the other books, the tone is usually very light and playful and fun. Everyone's kind of having a good time. Sometimes it gets kind of dark because people are dying. There's the fourth and third book, stuff like not wars, giant scale battles happen where people are dying everywhere. And this one is a full-fledged war halfway through that takes the rest of the book essentially. And it's you feel how tired everyone is. You feel how drawn out it all feels. Like the amount of work put into this book feels, I'm not used to it from writers who do stuff like Isekai essentially. So like it feels really rewarding to like have read the other books, get into this book, and then like see how all the characters have changed essentially. It's phenomenal. I can't speak how much I like this book enough. The only negatives that I can really come up with is like one or two of the main characters should have been given maybe a little more screen time. But to be fair, they were given a lot of screen time in like past books. So in this book, you just get a little less screen time. I don't know if that might bother some of you if you love characters like Kess. Kess, out of all the characters in this book, probably gets the least amount of screen time and probably gets the least amount of cool stuff to do. Aside from that, everyone else gets a lot of stuff to do. And again, to be fair to the characters, Kess got a lot of awesome moments in past books. So maybe that's kind of like, you know, the balancing thing. And I'm pretty sure she still has a lot of stuff to do in the future books, if I'm being honest. So I can see her doing some fun stuff, especially with her ex-girlfriend, who is also still in this book, who also still wants to kill her. Another negative thing that I will have to like say, and this is a very debatable negative, is that while the book is very long and has a lot to do, certain sections could absolutely feel padded, because there's certain moments where the writer just like goes off on tangents explaining stuff. And if you see my Grimgar videos, you know that I don't really like it when writers just exposit directly to the audience. There's a moment in this book where the writer just like in the middle of like a really important big moment for the characters just ignores the characters and goes into the future for a little bit and talks about this painting. This turns out to be a gag and basically just a punchline for a joke. And it was really funny, but the gag went on for such a long time that you're just like, what the fuck's going on? But when the joke hit, you're like, oh, that's great. And it used traditionally bad exposition dumps in fantasy books to make a punchline joke, and I love that. Like it just subverted my expectations of that moment. It's one of my favorite moments. If you've read the book, you know the painting, you know what I'm talking about. It's a funny little joke that I thought was really great and led to one of the most depressing moments in the entire book. So, and some spots in this war, you can argue wasn't entirely necessary. You could have cut them out and it would have actually probably streamlined the experience. But again, it's been like years since this writer's come out with another book. I'm pretty sure he just wanted to give everyone as much information and more bang for the buck as possible, and that's probably why. I can forgive it. I very much enjoyed it. It wasn't like bad exposition. It was just exposition you can argue was not necessary or relevant to the overall story or plot. But I still liked it because it expanded my view on the world. So it's good world building, but it's also like, there are points where I'm like, I want to get back to the actual main characters and see what they're doing. But if that bothers you, there's like only small moments like that in the story. Most of it is just like focusing on the main characters and the plot and the characters in the story, and just it's all phenomenally well done. I genuinely had a great time. I could not put this book down when I started listening to it on Audible. I was at work. I was here editing Grimgar videos, listening to Dungeon Lord while making Grimgar content because I had to listen to it and I had to finish it because I loved it so much. I should also probably mention, because we're talking about specifically the audiobook version of this, is the voice acting was amazing. The characters feel like they're in pain. They feel excited. They feel sad. You can feel it in the voice acting.
I am His Royal Majesty, King Veran the First, Holy Monarch of the Kingdom of Heligis, Duke of Zedar. Well, you know the rest.
Kill him right now!
Something dark that used the voice of his common sense screamed at Ed from the back of his head.
Sound Booth Studio, the guys who recorded and edited this should be commended. By the way, they have a YouTube channel. Go check them out if you want to see how like they do their cold reads. They did a phenomenal job. I think they should absolutely be commended. And the thing is, the voice acting for Dungeon Lord isn't a dramatic reading. Like, you know, in dramatic readings, every single character has their own voice actors. In this one, there's only 5 voice actors, but they have such range that you hardly notice it at all. It's really good. But for the grade that I would personally give this book, I'd have to give it an A+. If I have to make a whole new, like, rating for the book, A++, S, I don't know. It's one of my favorite books. I have very little flaws, and the flaws that I can find in this book are very nitpicky. But if you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more videos like this, hit the like button, share, tell me in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Bye! And thank you to my subscribers over on my Twitch. If you want to shout out at the end of the video, either subscribe to my Twitch or use the thanks feature here on YouTube to have your name be read at the end of our videos. Thank you to Gracie _, Van Hoevenstein, Wisteria Hysteria, Naberto Games, RJS Problems, Dio 098, Boobaloo 83, Josias 93, Tokabell, and Avengers _ for all the subscriptions on my Twitch. I really appreciate it, guys.